We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, this week, the DFA received reports that 3 additional countries, territories, have already lifted the inbound travel ban on Filipinos, subject to medical protocols on arriving passengers. These are Macau, Croatia, and Senegal. On the other hand, the reported 69 countries, territories in the list 2 weeks ago have still not allowed entry in their borders. As to those countries, territories which give entry exemption to Filipinos, Kazakhstan was added to the list, and Qatar has updated its restriction as it now allows transit. Moreover, Senegal has opened its outbound borders. This confirms that as of today, 139 countries now allow Filipinos to return to the Philippines, subject to flight availability and other special arrangements. With the lifting of inbound restriction in the Philippines effective August 1, the DFA has advised the public to always check ahead of travel dates with the airlines that will be used, as well as with relevant embassies or consulates before departure or before booking a ticket. Thousands of mainly young and black-clad Thai protesters converged last Saturday at Bangkok's Democracy Movement, or Democracy Monument, as the city's largest and rowdiest anti-government protest in years. Joining us live from Bangkok is Faye Barte. Hello, Faye.
Good afternoon, Alma, and good afternoon to all the viewers. Several hundred people, led by a group called Free Youth, gathered on Saturday near the Democracy Monument in Bangkok to call for the dissolution of the House and a rewrite of the Constitution. Hundreds of police officers were on hand to keep the peace, and the event went ahead largely without incident. The rally was staged to press 3 demands. The first one, Alma, is dissolution of the House, a rewrite of the Constitution, and an end to official and judicial harassment of those critical of the government. And some of the protesters, Alma, were complaining or slamming the government about the Egyptian soldier who did not have the quarantine and just roam around of the Rayong province. Next, that they were slamming is about the loss of jobs of many people. And lastly would be the government is not looking for some benefit or for some option to give the people benefits. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Faye. Are there any protests right now, or is it back to normal for the city?
For the protesters, Alma, we did not have the record yet if they have the protests until now. Mm-hmm. But as of the moment, peace and no incidents record has been found.
All right. Thank you very much, Faye, for your updates there in Thailand. We look forward for more. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Alma. This is Faye Barte reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
In Vietnam, some Asian flights will recommence in August, but all passengers need to be quarantined on arrival. And some Japanese firms are moving out of China and will set up in Vietnam as well as other ASEAN countries. Ralph Vandolf Empire joins us live from Vietnam. Hello, Ralph.
Hi there, Alma. Good afternoon. How
are you? Good afternoon. I'm good. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
So, the Transport Ministry has proposed that commercial routes between Vietnam and some Asian destinations recommence in August, with all passengers to be quarantined on arrival. In a proposal to Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc on Tuesday, the ministry suggested resuming flights to Guangzhou, Seoul, Tokyo, Taiwan, Vientiane, Phnom Penh, with the frequency of 1 trip per week from each side. The Civil Aviation Administration of Vietnam would cooperate with authorities in mainland China, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Laos, and Cambodia to reopen these routes as early as August, it said. Around 2,500 to 3,000 foreign passengers are expected to enter Vietnam each week via these commercial flights, besides Vietnamese returning home on repatriation flights organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Passengers on commercial flights need a valid visa and are required to be quarantined for 14 days upon arriving in Vietnam as a preventive measure. During the first stage, Vietnamese airlines will only operate one flight a week to the above-mentioned Asian destinations. After the COVID-19 pandemic is contained globally, the frequency of international flights would be increased, the ministry stated. It has proposed the government assign the Foreign Ministry to facilitate licensing of Vietnam's flights and the Defense Ministry to provide quarantine facilities for passengers. Since late March, Vietnam suspended all foreign arrivals and halted all international flights in an unprecedented move to stem the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, on Monday, a prime ministerial directive agreed to the resumption of commercial flights to and from China and ordered the reopening of commercial services to some Asian metropolises. Priority will be given to Vietnamese stranded overseas, foreign experts, specialists, and students. Vietnam has gone 3 months without community transmission caused by the novel coronavirus. The country of 96 million has reported only 373 infections and not a single COVID-19 death. Now, in other news, 15 Japanese firms opt for Vietnam after China. Under a scheme in which the Japanese government will fund a production shift from China, 15 Japanese firms have registered to move to Vietnam. The 15 firms belong to a list of 30 Japanese firms who will be paid to move factories out of China and set them up in Southeast Asian markets like Vietnam, the Philippines, Thailand, and Laos. Releasing the list, the Japan External Trade Organization, or JETRO, said 6 of the 15 were large firms and the remaining 9 were small and medium-sized enterprises. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much for your updates there in Vietnam. Thank you, EBC Vietnam Bureau. Thanks, Ralph.
You're welcome, Alma. This is Ralph Mantle Empire reporting live from Hanoi, Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
All right, let's now get the latest coronavirus update in Malaysia. Joining us live is Gail Aldos. Hello, Gail.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
There were 3 new clusters detected. 3 new COVID-19 clusters have been detected in Sepang, Brickfields, and Sarawak, said Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah. He said that so far, 2 foreigners tested positive in the Sepang Workers' Quarters cluster, which was detected at a construction site where 96 workers had been screened up to noon yesterday. He said in a statement yesterday they comprised of 9 Malaysians and 87 foreigners. Of the total, 2 tested positive, an Indonesian national, who is the cluster index case, and a Bangladeshi who was a close contact. As for the Kuala Lumpur restaurant cluster detected at the Brickfields Eatery following a random screening by the District Health Office, Dr. Nur Hisham said that up to noon yesterday, 250 people, comprising of 14 workers and 236 customers, had been screened and 2 Indian nationals tested positive. On the third cluster, the Kuching Jetty cluster in Sarawak, Dr. Nur Hisham said a total of 25 fishermen had been screened up to noon yesterday and 2 Indonesian nationals tested positive. He said the cause of the infections in all 3 clusters were still under investigation. In another news, 78 individuals arrested for defying the MCO. The Royal Malaysian Police detained 78 individuals for defying the movement control order 2 days ago in July 18, said Senior Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob. He said from the total, an individual was remanded, 35 were given bail, while 42 individuals were issued compounds. He said in a statement yesterday among the MCO offenses included attending gathering where social distancing is difficult and violating standard operating procedure. The Compliance Operation Task Force, led by the Royal Malaysia Police, carried out 64,303 inspections yesterday to monitor and enforce compliance of Recovery Movement Control Order, standard operating procedure. Apart from that, Ismail Sabri said 14 foreigners were also nabbed under Ops Benteng in July 18 in the effort of the authorities to tighten border control and prevent entry by illegal immigrants to curb cross-border crimes apart from containing the spread of COVID-19 infection. In the operation, 67 roadblocks were held and 40,495 vehicles were inspected to flush out illegal immigrants, especially those using rat trails. Meanwhile, Ismail Sabri said 934 Malaysians returned home by air via Kuala Lumpur International Airport and KLIA-2 from Japan, Indonesia, Qatar, UAE, Singapore, Australia, Turkey, South Korea, India, Bangladesh, and Iran in July 18. From the total, he said one individual was sent to the hospital for further examination, while the others were ordered to undergo mandatory quarantine at home. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you, Gail, for your updates there in Kuala Lumpur. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Gail Aldas. We live in interesting times.
From engineers on cargo ships to waiters on luxury cruise liners, ocean-based workers around the world have been stranded offshore by coronavirus border closures and lockdowns for months, caught up in what the United Nations warns is a growing humanitarian crisis that has been blamed for several suicides. Take a look.
Napakahirap po. Kasi po, nag-aalala din po kami sa aming mga pamilya. Paano na lang po pagmahawaan sila? Magagawa ba ako? Kasi ako, nasa alanganin sitwasyon din po. Kaya ang tanging ginagawa naman po na lang po, tsaka tiwala na lang po kayo. Sa pagiging seaman ko po siguro, ito na po yung pinakamahirap. Kasi sa araw-araw po, hindi mo sure yung mga pangyayari Nangangamba ka kung makakauwi ka pa ba, kung hanggang kailan ka tatagal sa barko. Ang hirap po, malungkot, talagang malungkot. Mental health, dyan sir, dyan ka susubukan. Susubukan talaga ang tatag mo, lalo na yung nag-uumpisa. Yung halos may nagpapakamatay. Grabe, halos hindi makatulog. Ang ginagawa po na lang namin, nagtutulungan lang kami on board. Tapos kung maganda signal, tawag sa pamilya, chat, ehersisyo, yung mga ganun sir.
Many have been trapped on vessels for months after their tours were supposed to end as travel restrictions disrupted normal crew rotations. Now, seafarers typically work for 6 to 8 months at a stretch before disembarking and flying back to their home countries, with new crews taking over their place. But as the deadly virus whipped around the world and paralyzed international travel, that was suddenly impossible. Underscoring the growing urgency of the situation, more than a dozen countries at a UK-hosted International Maritime Summit this month vowed to recognize seafarers as key workers to help them get home. ASEAN Focus will be right back.
Naipakita na nila ang kanilang galing. Nasa inyong mga kamay ang kanilang kapalaran. 100% ng desisyon kung sino ang tatanghaling tagisan ng galing grand winner ay manggagaling sa boto ninyo. Kaya iboto na ang pinakamagaling na contestant para sa iyo. Kung ikaw ay Team Angel Nicole Francisco, text TNG Space Angel and send to 0922-1101-400. Sa palagay mo, Cosmic Angels ang pinakamagaling. Text TNG Space Cosmic and send to 0922-110-1400. Kung Power Duo ang nagpahanga sa iyo, text TNG Space Power and send to 0922-110-1400. Support na kung napahanga ka ni Jonah Chris Bandilio. Text TNG Space Jonah Chris and send to 0922-110-1400. Number 1 at the best ba para sa'yo si Ed Rain o Clarino? Text TNG Space Ed Rain and send to 0922-110-1400. Sa text votes, isang boto kada isang mobile number. Make sure na tama ang keyword para valid ang boto mo. Pwede rin kayong bumoto via online. Pumunta lang sa Tagisan ng Galing channel sa YouTube. I-click ang subscribe. Hanapin ang individual performance ng paborito ninyong top 5 finalists. Panoorin, i-like at mag-comment. At i-share. Ang total percentage ng boto para sa inyong paboritong contestant will be computed as follows. 25% ay manggagaling sa inyong text votes. 25% ay mula sa bilang ng mga views. 25% para sa total numbers of likes. At 25% ang magmumula sa total number of shares ng mga videos ng kanilang mga individual performances. Kaya naman, lahat ng boto, views, like at share ninyo ay mahalaga. So, vote now! Sabay-sabay nating abangan kung sino ang tatanghaling grand winner sa Tagisan ng Galing! Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichunks. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Philippine National Bank, masasandalan ng pamilyang Pilipino saan man sa mundo. PNB, you first. Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matimco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation. East West Bank, your dream, our focus.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutrichunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutrichunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Malaking parte ng pamumuhay namin ang agrikultura. Sa mother side ko, ang kanilang kalakal ay animal husbandry. Sila po ay nag-aalaga ng mga baka. Magmula po sa Pangasinan, napunta po ng Nueva Ecija. Ang father side ko naman po, mula po sa Spain, pagdating nila dito sa Pilipinas, sila po yung tinatawag na uring may lupa. Talagang nabuhay po kami, ibinuhay po sa amin ang agrikultura. Mga mahal kong kababayan, ito po si Robin Padilla. Inaanyayahan ko po kayong manood ng Unlad, Kaagapay sa Hanap Buhay. Dito po sa Net 25.
May kaagapay sa hanap buhay.
The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF, allowed the entry of foreign nationals with long-term visas in the country beginning on August 1. The IATF, however, set conditions prior to the entry of these foreign nationals. They must first have valid and existing visas at the time of the entry, and this means no new entry visa shall be accepted, and they are likewise subject to the maximum capacity of inbound passengers at the port and date of entry, as returning overseas Filipinos will be given priority. Foreign nationals must also secure a pre-booked accredited quarantine facility and a pre-booked COVID-19 testing provider. In the same meeting, the members of the IATF prohibited spectators in all outdoor non-contact sports and exercises in areas under General Community Quarantine, or GCQ, and indoors and outdoor sports and exercises in areas under MGCQ, or Modified General Community Quarantine. And another development, the IATF authorized the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, in consultation with the Department of Finance, the Department of Interior and Local Government, and the Department of Tourism to recategorize certain industries for the resumption of their operations or gradual increase of operating capacity of industries that are now open. The DTI is likewise given authority of the IATF to issue a negative list of industries which shall remain prohibited even in areas under MGCQ. These recent actions of the IATF are in compliance with the directive to ensure the increase of the capacities of the business sector vis-a-vis available transportation to revitalize the economy in Metro Manila and Region 4A. Foreign Affairs Secretary Chidoro Locsin Jr. honored the 88 deceased overseas Filipino workers whose remains have returned home from Saudi Arabia at the Heroes Welcome held at the Villamor Air Base. Secretary Locsin offered his sincerest condolences to the families of the deceased OFWs and recalled their immeasurable sacrifice for the sake of the Philippines and their families. Take a look.
Bello, thank you for joining me to commemorate our overseas Filipino workers whose mortal remains have finally come home. It is a true honor to be here for this solemn occasion. Today we mourn not only the fallen before us, but many other modern-day heroes whose lives were lost. For even as I speak, the Department of Foreign Affairs, together with the Department of Labor and Employment and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, are working to bring home our departed compatriots from other parts of the globe.
Secretary Locsin joined other government officials and the families of the deceased in receiving the remains of our OFWs. The Department of Foreign Affairs joins the efforts of the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, in repatriating the remains of the Filipino nationals from Saudi Arabia. Mr. Locsin also said the mounting of these exclusive flights for the fallen kinfolk amid border closures and lockdowns is a first for any administration. Indonesia has seen its COVID-19 cases and deaths double a month after reopening its economy. Indonesia has recorded 86,521 total cases and 4,143 deaths as of Sunday, twice the cumulative figure from the previous month. Experts have cautioned that the country is at risk of becoming one of the worst hit worldwide. The central government and local administrations gradually lifted requirements under large-scale social restrictions, or PSBB, in the first weeks of June. Now, the Southeast Asian archipelago, home to nearly 270 million people, has been easing movement restrictions in a bid to head off economic collapse. Indonesia's central bank cut interest rates for the fourth time this year, with Southeast Asia's biggest economy battered by the pandemic. Now, policymakers at Bank of Indonesia introduced the key lending rate by 25 basis points to 4%, days after the government warned of a looming recession. Central Bank Governor Peri Warjio said the latest rate cut was a further step to boost the struggling economy, adding that there were signs of a recovery as the stimulus plan kicks in and virus restrictions are eased. Research house Capital Economics said it expected the bank to move again in the coming months. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati has warned that Indonesia's economy is set to contract 4.3% in the second quarter and shrink again in the July to September period. 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth would mark Indonesia's first recession since the 1998 Asian financial crisis. Indonesia has announced a stimulus package worth more than $48 billion to help offset the impact of the pandemic, which forced a large-scale shutdown that hammered growth, including in the key tourism sector. In other news, 2 Indonesian police officers were jailed for partially blinding a top corruption investigator in an acid attack that sparked widespread anger in the graft-riddled Southeast Asian nation. A Jakarta court handed Ronnie Bugis and Rahmat Kadir Mahulete 1.5 and 2-year prison sentences, respectively, after convicting them of the 2017 attack on Novel Baswedan, a senior member of Indonesia's Corruption Eradication Commission. Baswedan, 43, was set upon in the capital as he walked home from a mosque following early morning prayers. The sentences were longer than the 1-year jail terms sought by the prosecutors, slammed by critics as too lenient. But the court ruled that the officers tried to scare Baswedan rather than cause serious injury, saying they had sought to teach him a lesson. Anti-graft investigators in Indonesia, considered by some watchdogs to be among the world's most corrupt countries, have been targeted in the past, including with threats and violent attacks. Before Thursday's ruling, rights groups and Baswedan himself, who was permanently blinded in one eye, derided the hearing as a show trial and said key evidence was not presented, including some eyewitness testimony. In an earlier interview with AFP, Mr. Baswedan said he suspected senior police officials were behind his attack. He did not identify them. ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
Ida came back from her trip in Wuhan, China. She is a positive carrier of the coronavirus.
Hi, I'm Lorna.
Lorna is Ida's cousin. She can be a family member, a friend, a relative, a colleague, or anything related to Ida.
Oh, hi. I'm Faye.
Fe is not related to Ida. They don't know each other. She can be a stranger Ida meets on the train, in the supermarket, movie house, or in any public place. Now, Ida is in the hospital and is being treated, and Lorna is placed in quarantine. Ida doesn't know Fe. Lorna doesn't know Fe. And Fe doesn't even know anything.
Hi, I'm Inocencio.
Inocencio has no contact with any virus carrier. But if he goes out, it takes at least 14 days for the symptoms to show on Fe. This is the purpose of a community quarantine or lockdown, to give time for the healthcare professionals to find Fe and all those she had close contact with, and to keep Inocencio from contracting the virus. Let's stop the spread of the COVID-19.
We salute all our frontliners and healthcare workers. We are with you in this fight against COVID-19. I am Tyronel Pilyulu from EBC Japan Bureau, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. Tsuneo Sengoku, a 75-year-old Japanese judo enthusiast who runs a training center on the Indonesian holiday island of Bali, is among athletes affected by the coronavirus around the world. But his passion for the martial arts is undimmed. Take a look.
Hai, coba. Wah, bagus. Ayo.やはり一人でも多くその柔道の魅力について、考えていただければ非常にここの海外で指導している人はありがたいなと思います。そうですね、私はもう柔道を取ったらただのおじさんですので、やはりもう一度生まれ変わったらやっぱり柔道の先生に生まれ変わって、一人でも多くの子どもたちあるいは一人でも多くの人たちに柔道を指導したいという考えは変わりありません。
Meanwhile, a Pakistani court approved the relocation of a lonely and mistreated elephant to Cambodia after the pachyderm became the subject of a high-profile rights campaign backed by music star Cher. Calvin was kept in chains at Islamabad Zoo and then exhibited symptoms of mental illness, prompting global outrage over his treatment and a petition demanding his release that garnered over 400,000 signatures. The capital's High Court ordered Calvin's freedom in May and then instructed wildlife officials to find him a suitable sanctuary. Authorities told a hearing that an expert committee had recommended he be removed to a 25,000-acre wildlife sanctuary in Cambodia for retirement. Safwab Shahab Ahmad of the Pakistan Wildlife Foundation said in 2016 that his behavior, including signs of distress, such as bobbing his head repeatedly, demonstrated a kind of mental illness. Arriving in Pakistan as a one-year-old in 1985 from Sri Lanka, Kavan was temporarily held in chains in 2002 because zookeepers were concerned about increasingly violent tendencies. He was freed later that year after an outcry, but it emerged in 2015 that he was once more being regularly chained for several hours each day. Now, twin red ruffed lemurs have been born at a Singapore zoo, a rare double delivery that is a boost for the endangered saucer-eyed primates. It's the first birth at the zoo of the endangered creatures, which are native to Madagascar, in over a decade. Take a look. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.